Hey everybody, it's Dr. A back in his garden. It's a beautiful day. It's a spring afternoon here in beautiful Athens, Georgia. The birds are singing and they're flying behind me. You can see a few plants in the background, my ugly birdhouse, and life is good. One of the things that gardeners love to do, and certainly I do, is tell stories. I love to tell stories about how plants get their names, or who are the people behind the plants, or there's so many fine, wonderful stories about plants and gardens that it just makes this gardening thing so much more rich. And that's what we're doing. We're going to be telling some stories. But the idea of storytelling is story sharing. Not so much me sharing, but you sharing. So when I tell you these stories, I hope you will tell them to others. So I will put on my little uniform here and we'll talk about a few stories from the garden. One of the questions I get, particularly in the fall, they say, Alan, no, that we all know that plant over there is called Joe Pye Weed. I said, yes, it is Joe Pye Weed. It's a wonderful plant in the fall. It's native all over the place. You see it everywhere in the north, particularly Canada, the upper Midwest, into the Midwest, down to the Northeast. Fabulous plant, beautiful. But was there really somebody called Joe Pye? Where did that name come from? Well, the short answer is yes. There was a person called Joe Pye. And here is the story of Joe Pye. And I'm going to read a little bit from the book, and of course this is the book of Naked Ladies and Forget-Me-Nots. It's you can get it on my website, alanarmitage.net. And if you put in the code WALKABOUT, we give you free shipping and all that good stuff. But if you don't, that's fine too. But there's a lot more in this storybook than I'm going to share with you. But anyway, it turns out that there was a person called Joe Pye, and he turned out he was a Mohegan Indian and an herbalist, and he lived in the late 1700s near Stockbridge, Massachusetts. And he would prepare a lot of herbal remedies, go into town and, see if anybody wanted to buy some of these herbal remedies for all the various problems that early settlers had. Whooping cough, respiratory problems, all sorts of aches and pains. And Joe Pye would have some of these herbal remedies, most of which did not work, let's be honest. However, it turned out that this one plant was working quite well. And one of the first mentions of this plant was provided by a Mohegan writer by the name of Samson Occom in July 1787. And apparently he went to Joseph Pye. Now, Joseph Pye was, if you like, the English name. Shaquathwat was his real name. Of course, I'm mispronouncing it. But he went to Shaquathwat and had a very agreeable conversation with him. And it turned out that Joe Pye, his plant, induced sweating and was useful in the treatment of all sorts of ailments. In fact, it was a common plant, herbal plant, in the medicine cabinets of most colonists in the 1700s. The first printed reference to the common name appeared in Amos Eaton's Manual of Botany, which was published in 1818 and went through 2 or 3 revisions. And he referred to the plant as Joe Pye. That was the first reference of it in 1818, named for an Indian. Its medicinal use, however, became much more accepted in the 3rd edition, which was published in 1822, where Eaton mentioned that President Zachariah Swift Moore, the 2nd president of Williams College in Western Massachusetts, ascribed his recovery from a very alarming fever to the liberal and continued use of a tea made with Joe Pye plants. And yes, there was a person called Joe Pye, and it was called Joe Pye's Weed, which of course we now call Joe Pye Weed. And there's been quite a bit of research on this, and of course none of us know a whole lot about it. But if you, that's where Joe Pye Weed came from. In fact, Eupatorium purpureum, which is a common one, was just one of them. The white-flowered one called Eupatorium perfoliatum was even more effective in treating many of the remedies in the 1700s and still can be found today in herbal stores. Joe Pye, a real person, a real plant, a real story. And again, join me for some other stories. I love sharing it with you. The Book of Naked Ladies and Forget-Me-Nots, it has more information than the little account I'm giving you here. But hey, let's have fun. Let's stay safe. Let's stay well. And let's get through this and share stories with each other. I'll see you soon. Until next story time, this is Dr. A.